Just days after my wife passed away, I offered half my sandwich to a homeless man. Imagine losing everything, your wife, your job, your future, all because of the powerful, corrupt family she came from. You hit rock bottom, feeling broken, believing there's no way out. Then a mysterious old man hands you a crumpled piece of paper and whispers a promise that changes everything. A promise of justice. My name is Darren Banner, and that promise came to me on one of my darkest days. But to understand why I was even in that park needing a way out, I have to take you back to the very beginning. I grew up on the impoverished streets of the Bronx, New York, where the smell of machine oil and the constant hum of truck horns were the soundtrack of my life. Our house was tiny, squeezed onto a narrow street, with stained walls and a roof that decided to join us in the living room every time it rained. My dad, Tom Banner, was a handyman with hands that were rough and calloused but unbelievably skilled. My mom, Dorothy, worked 2 jobs just to keep our heads above water, teaching part-time by day and slinging hash at a greasy diner by night. We didn't have much, but we had each other, and that was everything. I learned about the harshness of the world early. I remember being about 8, with my dad at a fancy mansion, watching the homeowner, a man in a glossy suit, look at my father like he was a stain on a priceless rug. He reamed my dad out for being slow, even though my father had been busting his butt for hours. My fists clenched, blood rushing to my face. Dad just bowed his head and kept working. But as we left, he squeezed my hand. "Darren," he said, his voice quiet but firm, "as long as you stay honest and work hard, being poor is no shame. Don't you ever let them make you feel inferior." Those words became etched in my soul. My mom echoed them, especially after a grueling night shift. "My dear boy," she'd say, her tired eyes still shining, "education is the key. Study hard and you'll change your life, not just for you, but for us too." I listened. I swore I wouldn't let them bow their heads to anyone ever again. I wanted them to know a life free from worrying about every penny, every medicine bill, every flickering light. I threw myself into my studies like a man dying of thirst searching for water. At school, I was always at the top, even though my clothes were hand-me-downs from my cousin, patched up by my mom. I didn't care when the rich kids mocked my worn-out shoes or tattered backpack. I buried myself in books, in math, in literature. Every night, I'd study under a dim desk lamp, my mom beside me, checking my homework with a proud smile. My dad would bring home old books his clients had discarded, stacking them in my room. "Knowledge," he'd say, "is the one thing no one can ever take from you. But life isn't just about beautiful dreams." When I was 13, my mom got seriously ill. She had to miss a week of work, and our meager savings vanished instantly. My dad worked day and night, but it still wasn't enough for, full story video added in below,